Hey, this is Aiden or Doodoop on this channel, and if you're listening to this audio, it's because I have tried to record different versions of the audio for this making of video so many different times that my eyes have boiled out of the sockets and are dribbling around on the floor somewhere. I have been struggling trying to first script the perfect thing that says all the things that I want to say, and then I just went spur of the moment and talked about what I think of how everything went. And neither of those approaches work, honestly. Originally, this video was going to be about my motives, intentions, and inspirations for this project, as well as the production process I used to realize it. But I really underestimated video production and how hectic the summer would be. So I had to shorten it down to the inspirations side of everything. In terms of going through a whole process of making a film, this is a soft part one. I want to do another making of video for my senior year film, so I'll probably talk about the actual production process there and have that be like a soft part two. With that out of the way, I'm gonna start. To kind of explain why I made this film, I need to explain the last film as well as the general vibe that I was in. The last film that I made was in the fall semester, and the way that our school works, you make one film in the fall, another film in the spring. This one was called Mend. It was 1 minute, full color, full sound. I did every single part of the process, and I'm proud that I was able to prove I could do all of that work, but at the same time, it wasn't the project that I really wanted it to be by the end of it. There was a lot that I had to compromise in terms of actual narrative just to have something finished, and by the end of it, it doesn't really possess a clear narrative. I was able to do all the visual and audio bells and whistles, but when it came down to presenting a story, which that's the reason why I try and animate stuff. I want to tell stories. It's like that film is not capable of doing that. Moving forward from Mend, I wanted to do something that had a clearer, longer form narrative, and I wanted to have a chance to work with other people. I like animation because I feel like as a medium, it's inherently collaborative. As cool as I think it was to try and do every step of the production pipeline, it also was incredibly lonely, and especially with the long hours that I had to work to get everything done, it just wasn't a very good experience. On a personal level, I was thinking a lot about forgetting things. I'm a pretty forgetful person, and recently my great-grandmother has started forgetting people at a really big scale. The most recent time that we had gone to visit her, I was asked not to go see her because apparently a previous time she had completely forgotten about me and my sister, and the entire experience was just uncomfortable for her. It's it's something that I now kind of fear to a good extent. I know that I'm a forgetful person, so the idea that I could lose who I am and stop recognizing all of the people in my life that I really care about, that would be rough. I think the idea of the world breaking apart and flaking away came to me at around the same time that I was finishing up Mend. So after I finished that, I immediately had another thing to start chasing, and I did. I wanted to have the film inspired by ink brush paintings. I've always really liked them, and I got an art book of those drawings from my late grandmother's belongings. I think it's an instructional book of some sort, but I've tried and failed for a little less than a decade to learn Chinese, and maybe I'll get the strength to go at it another time, but that strength is not in me right now. So I wanted to do these minimalist compositions with that as the influence that ended up coalescing in the monochrome palette. And with all that in mind, I made the first draft.
I wonder how long I've been lying here.
days, months, years. I'm not sure. I'm pretty bad at keeping track, so I just try to stay awake. At least then I can see the changes. What comes, what goes. You never know how things might be when you wake up. Like today, I looked at my hands and realized my fingers were gone. It's not much of a surprise, really. If anything, it's weird I'm lasting so long. My fingers are gone, but, everything else is fine. Legs and arms and all that. I'm about the only thing that's staying together. Everything else is sort of flaking away. Like dead skin. I took this stuff to a professor, and the main critique that they had for me was that everything was too vague. You only really have a field of grass as the environment. You only have this kind of rounded, very nondescript character, and the two of them don't really interact very meaningfully throughout. On top of that, the script itself was trying to hold itself back from actually being personal, which was the wrong way to go. So I scrapped the first draft, and while making the second, tried to think of ways to solve that problem. I'm in someone else's bed in a room that isn't mine. That's not my busted computer, those aren't my shoes, that's not my poster hanging on, peeling off the wall. And this isn't me in the mirror. I don't look the same anymore. Nothing does. Bit by bit, the world's flaking away. Like dead skin. You may be thinking, hey, this looks familiar. And that's because it is. It is the animatic that I used to figure out all the rest of the animation. There were small tweaks of the script here and there, but overall, this version of the script is what was there. These versions of the environment and character are what ended up being used. I figured that I could imbue a lot of personality into the character without necessarily having to add a lot to the narration if I just made the environment more descriptive of them. The split things into different parts of the frame idea was a combination of what I thought Dave Free was doing on the Kendrick Lamar and Baby Keem Family Ties video, as well as an MF Doom video for all caps, I think, and a Tyler the Creator Okra music video where there's one shot in particular that I thought was really cool, and I've got a very close recreation in this film. The one thing that this draft really, really struggled with was trying to figure out what it was about. As I was making it, I thought that it would be really cool if this animation sort of broke down from digital animation to traditional animation to storyboards to the little post-it notes that you can see that I was working on to, I don't know, a piece of paper with a stick man on it that I like throw in the trash or erase or something like that. And my classmates kind of they really kept telling me that I shouldn't do that, and I'm really glad that I eventually listened. If there's any lesson to take away from this, it's that the emotions matter far more than any other clever thing that you're trying to do. If you're able to push those emotions into something, then don't make a choice that will hurt that. It's hard enough to imbue anything with emotion. Trying to do something that detracts is just counterproductive. That's all I have to say about the film for now. Again, I really wish that I could go into the production process at a greater length, but I'm going back to school in, at the time of recording this, a couple days, so I really don't have time to make an entire different section of this video. I plan on putting a Google Drive link with various production materials in the description of this video, so hopefully you'll be able to look through a lot of the stuff that I did, and I will try and answer as many questions in the comments as I can. So with all that said, thank you for watching, and I hope that you have fun making whatever you want to make.